In the age of ChatGPT and automated phone calls, we already often wonder whether we're talking to a real person or to a robot. We shouldn't also have to wonder whether we're talking to someone who's being forced to speak government messages that they don't believe. Handing authorities that kind of power would destroy the marketplace of ideas that our Constitution was designed to protect. That's why a recent ruling at the Virginia Supreme Court should come as good news for every American. For nearly a decade, Peter Vlaming was a popular high school French teacher in West Point, Virginia. He coached sports, sponsored clubs, even drove a school bus. He enjoyed a warm rapport with students and colleagues, receiving excellent evaluations year after year. Unfortunately, Peter's teaching career came to an abrupt end after school officials demanded that Peter abandon what he knew about language and some of his most important fundamental beliefs about reality, and instead adopt the school's ideologically charged messaging on gender identity. One of Peter's female students had begun to identify as male, and the student asked to use new masculine name and pronouns during class. Peter agreed to use the student's name, and he went a step further, inviting the whole class to choose new names to use in French class. Meanwhile, Peter made it a point to avoid using pronouns in class altogether. Again, he went out of his way to try to accommodate the student's request. What Peter couldn't do in good conscience, though, was use biologically incorrect pronouns to refer to any of his students. As a language teacher, Peter understood the important role pronouns play in communication. If sex is biological and unchangeable, then using biologically incorrect pronouns would mean being dishonest with his students and failing them as a teacher. Peter respected his students too much to do that. When the school officials learned that he wasn't proactively using male pronouns with his one biologically female student, they ordered him to start, or risk losing his job. When Peter tried to explain why he couldn't, they followed through on their threat, effectively ending his teaching career. Peter wasn't fired for something he said. He was fired for something he couldn't say. And that should concern us all. As the Virginia Supreme Court explained in its decision, the Virginia Constitution seeks to protect diversity of thought, diversity of speech, diversity of religion, and diversity of opinion. Absent a truly compelling reason for doing so, no government committed to these principles can lawfully coerce its citizens into pledging verbal allegiance to its ideological views that violate their sincerely held religious beliefs. Most of Peter's students understood these principles. When the school fired him, many of them walked out in solidarity. But none of that mattered to the school officials who fired him. Neither did the fact that he'd gone out of his way to accommodate the student. And the fact that Peter has the constitutional right not to be forced to endorse the government's viewpoint on controversial issues like gender identity didn't sway them either. Of course, all of this does matter in our shared constitutional system. As Peter's attorneys at Alliance Defending Freedom argued, it matters under the Virginia Constitution. The U.S. Supreme Court recently held in 303 Creative v. Ellis, another ADF case, that it matters under our federal Constitution too. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote in the decision that the government generally may not compel a person to speak its own preferred messages, and that's especially true for compelled speech on issues of public debate. Thankfully, the Virginia Supreme Court staked out the same position in Peter's case. As one of the first states to disestablish a state-sponsored religion, it's only fitting that Virginia would be one of the first to topple this new regime of state-sponsored orthodoxy and pave the way for more states to follow. All of this thanks to one teacher who cared enough for his students, even those who disagreed with him, not to lie to them. Our schools need more teachers like Peter Vlaming, teachers who are equally committed to serving their students, following their convictions, and standing for truth. After this court decision, teachers like Peter can know that the Virginia Constitution is firmly on their side, and that's a win for all of us. To find out more stories like this, visit adflegal.org/freedommatters. Before you go, click on this video and subscribe so you never miss an episode.